traders, this is Mark with the OR Trader, and welcome to Trading with the Camarilla Indicator. In this video, we're going to go over how to use the Camarilla Indicator for trade setups. Now, in the last video that we went over the basic structure of the Camarilla Indicator, and if you haven't seen that video, I'd suggest that you go back and watch that video so you'll know the basic structure of the Camarilla Indicator. But in this video, like I said, we're going to go over trade setups using the indicator. The first thing I want to talk about is the most important data point of the day, and that's the market's open. And to be more specific, the actual opening print. Where does that opening print fall? And what we were looking for is, where does that opening print fall in relationship to value? So if you remember from the other video, we talked about the value area. It began between H3 and L3 of the Camarilla Indicator. And where are we opening in relationship to this value area? And we could open above the value area, or we could be opening below the value area, or we could open inside the value area. So all of these choices about where we open sets up the trades that we want to take with the Camarilla Indicator. Okay, so let's go over and rehash a little bit, and I'm going to tell you about the zones that I've created. Okay, and if you remember from the first video, the area between H3 and L3 is the value area of the Camarilla. Okay, so this value area is the meat of the market. Okay, and what I've done is I've created zones for where we can open. Okay, and I've given them my own little names, and you can name them whatever you like. Let's talk about the zone between H3 and H4. Okay, I call that the high zone. This is a resistance zone, and of course, if we open in that zone, we're going to have certain characteristics that we want to watch for as to how we want to trade. Now, down below in the L3 to L4 zone, that's the low zone, and this is the supportive zone. Okay, and you can see I've color coded these: red for resistance and green for support. And of course, we just talked about the value zone. Okay, and I've color coded that yellow for like neutral. Okay, so these zones are possible opening zones. Now, the other zones that we need to talk about are the breakout zones. Okay, and this is when we open above the H4 level or below the L4 level. These are breakout opens. And so what I've done is I've created these zones. So all we need to know is what zone did we open in, and then we're going to take some action. Okay, so let's get started. I want to make these videos as quick as possible, so I'm going to be talking fast and covering a lot of ground really fast. And I want to make the videos short so you guys can watch them over and over again, and if you need to, and you can do it quickly. Okay, so let's start with up here. You'll see open location V. That stands for the value area. So if we open in the value area, what trades do we want to take? Well, first we're going to talk about the H3 reversal trade. Okay, so in this trade, we open in the value area between H3 and L3, and price pushes up and goes above H3. Now, when it trades back below H3, that is your sell entry. Okay, so you want to go short at H3, and of course you want to know where your stop is, and your stop is going to go at H4 or above H4, and you can use 1 tick, 2 ticks, 3 ticks, or closing bar above, whatever suits your risk situation. Okay, so after you get short, your stop is above H4. You're going to be looking for your first target to be L1. Your second target is going to be L2, and of course your third and final target would be L3, because L3 is going to be supportive. You're coming into the low zone, which is a supportive zone. Okay, so that's going to be your final target on this trade. Okay, so let's move on to the L3 reversal trade. And here again, we're opening in the V location, the value area. Okay, so we open in value. This time we push down instead of pushing up. We push down below the L3 level first, and then we trade back above it. Okay, our buy entry goes at L3. Okay, our stop is below L4, and again we're looking for targets of H1, H2, and of course H3. Okay, so This is the L3 reversal trade off of the value entry, excuse me, the value opening in the value area. And of course, the prior one was the H3 reversal trade when we opened in the value area. The thing that you need to understand about opening in value is that when you open in value, that market participants are pretty happy with the value area from the previous day. And chances are you're going to have a rotational type of market. And that's why you want to fade H3 and fade L3. Okay, so now let's move on to the high zone, open location H. Okay, and we're going to talk about the H3 reversal trade when we open in H3. Now, it's a reversal trade because if you open in the high zone, then that's a pretty bullish open. Okay, you're opening above value in the H zone, and what you want to watch for is H3 to hold as support. And if it's a reversal, then of course that must not have happened. So if you open in the high zone, okay, once price trades below H3, okay, that's going to be your sell entry. You're going to go short below H3, and you're going to put your stop above H4. And of course, price is leaving the high zone, coming back into the value area, back towards the middle, back towards the mean. And of course, your target on this one is going to be L3. Now, of course, you can use L1 and L2 if you like to scale out. But chances are, if it's leaving the upper zone, coming back into value, it's going to want to go test the lower zone to find support. Okay, so your target's going to be that L3. All right. So now let's move on to an open again in the H zone. All right, so we're still in the H zone. And this time, instead of trading below H3, let's look at what happens if we break out above H4, the H4 breakout trade. So we open in the high zone, price moves up, trades above H4. Of course, that's where you're going to get long. That's going to be your buy entry. And of course, you got to know where you're going to get out if you're wrong, and that's going to be a stop down below H3. And of course, your target is going to be H5. Now, there is a chance you could hit H6. H6 target is very hard to hit. Usually, you only hit an H6 target like on a trend day, but you could hold for H6 too if you'd like. But your main target is going to be H5. Okay, let's go on now. We're going to move down to the low zone. Okay, what happens when we open in location L in the low zone? All right, so we have an L3 reversal trade here. We open in the low zone. We push up. We trade above the L3. Okay, and that's where we're going to get long. We're going to buy here at L3. We're going to put our stop down at L4, and we're looking for again a target of H3. And of course, you can scale that out at H1 and H2 and then H3 if you like. Okay, so that's the L3 reversal trade in the low zone. Now let's go to the low zone again, but this time we're going to do the L4 breakout trade. Okay, so we open in the low zone, okay, which is kind of a weak open, and then price pushes down and goes below the L4. So that is your signal right there to sell, right? And of course, you got to know where you're going to get out if you're wrong, and that's going to be a stop above L3 back in the value area. And of course, you're going to be looking for a target of L5. And of course, in this case, you could also try to hold for L6. No guarantee that you're going to get it, but it was a weak open, but it wasn't extremely weak. So I would look at the L5 as your target, possibly L6. Okay. So now let's move on to the breakout zone. Okay, to the B zone location. If we open above H4, okay, then what you like to see, what I like to see it just barely open above H4, and then I like to see it find support at H4, okay, and you can look at it as some sort of candlestick pattern or some sort of wick or something, just to show you that there is support at H4, okay. H4 is not collapsing, okay, and so you want to buy at H4, and of course your stop. It's gonna go below H3, and of course you're looking for a target of H5. Now, because you opened in the breakout target, I would definitely look to try to hit that H6 target in this case, because you've had a breakout above the H4, you've moved on to H5, chances are you're on this day you can hit H6. Okay, like I said before, your stop is going to be below H3. Okay, that would be a breakout failure if you got below H3. And just think about it, you opened above H4 in the breakout zone, but then price came back and got below H3, which is price moving back into the value area, back towards the mean. Basically what's happening is the gap up, okay, the open above H4 is being rejected. The push to try to push value higher is being rejected, and they're saying, no, we like the previous day's value better. We're coming back into that value, back towards that mean. Okay. Now the same thing if you're on the low side, you're opening below L4, and again you want to see it open just barely below L4 for the best trade setups, and you want to see it test the L4. You want to see L4 hold as resistance, and of course that's going to be where you put your sell at. You're going to get short at L4, and then of course you're going to be looking for that target of L5, and again L6 in this case because of the strong bearish open. Okay, and of course your stop, of course, is going to go above L3, and again that's because you're going to have a breakout failure if they can get it back above L3, because they're getting back into the value area, back towards the mean, and so that's the place where you want to give up on the breakout is any trade above L3. So these are the trade setups, okay, and it all hinges off of where do we open, okay, and where do we think value is going to be pushed for the new day. Okay, if we open in value, we're not expecting them, they're happy with value, okay, and we're expecting them to rotate around that value area, and so we want to get we want to fade the H3 and the L3. If we open in the high zone, that's a strong open, but what we want to look for is we want to look for either rejection below the H3, or we want to look for acceptance of that strong open by breaking out above H4. Again, in the low zone, same thing, it's a weak open. We want to look for, can they come back into value above L3, or are they going to be pushing below L4 and trying to push value lower, and then of course the breakout zone speaks for itself. You're breaking out and it's either going to be accepted or rejected. Okay, so that's it, short and sweet. There's many, as you use this indicator and you plot these lines on your chart, you'll pick up some nuances, and you'll be able to better place your entries and your stops that suits your risk parameters. So hopefully this video helps you understand how to trade the Camarilla indicator, and that's going to do it, guys. So good luck in your trading, and see you later.